in our house right now. As you can tell, I'm very open with my body, and I try and pass this on to my daughters. And my oldest daughter right now, I've got both my girls. I'm teaching, all of these things like, these really great kumbaya, our bodies are selves, like listen to your body, and nobody knows your body the way that you do, honey, and just really, really honor what your body is. And I'm actually hearing it coming back to me now. My girls are, really saying those things back to me. And my oldest daughter, the one who's heading into puberty, she's, she's actually like kind of using these things properly. Because, one moment my girl is like, she's, almost 10, so she's all like, Mom, and she's giving me this because I'm so stupid and I don't know anything. And then the next moment she's like clutching onto me going, Mama, I don't know what's wrong with my body. I'm trying to listen to it, but I just don't. I don't know what's wrong with my body. And I'm like, I am listening to your body loud and clear, and she's a bitch. Let's hear her. Coming up, another woman who is obviously very comfortable talking about her body with her daughter as well is Brenna Jennings. She is the writer of Suburban Snapshots. She's also featured on Nick Mom and the Huffington Post. She is reading from one of her pieces from her book, from I Just Want to Pee Alone, with her piece. Ready? Because I'm the vagina boss. That's why.
Thank you. I'll try to speak loudly so you can all hear me. So, I don't hide the fact that I was not expecting to have Anna. She's fantastic. When I found out I was pregnant, somewhere between peeling myself off the floor under my bathroom sink and shoving a still dripping pee stick between my husband's nose and his coffee, I knew that I really wanted a girl. Of course, health trumps genitalia, but I trusted that a fetus with the ability to plant itself in my business, despite my intention to forever remain strictly an aunt, was going to turn out just fine. My sister was in the delivery room and saw the baby first. The umbilical cord was strategically placed, and I remember the dragging seconds between her announcement of, "It's up," and "Girl!" She knew where I wanted her. She dropped my numb right leg and took the first gory pictures of my slimy daughter. My cousin took a keepsake photo of the placenta, and let's all take a minute to be grateful she didn't yet have Facebook. It started off pretty typically at first. My husband wasn't exactly enthused about having to gingerly wipe between all those little girl creases and folds, but he maintained, put on his game face, and transitioned pretty smoothly from his former perspective to his new reality in which vaginas were strictly poop collectors and frankly kind of a chore. See, no one tells you specifically that when you become the boss of a new human, you also become the COO of their reproductive organs. And because I was the only other non-canine female in the house, the bulk of the responsibility was on me. My vagina itches. Go tell your mother. It burns when I pee. Go tell your mother. When you wipe me, it tickles. I'm never changing you again. At almost 5, our daughter is all about her privates. She has theme song stances, she has underwear preferences and irritation issues, and most exciting to her, she has the word vagina, and she will not hesitate to use it. So my husband exists somewhere between addressing his daughter's needs and deferring to a more qualified authority, enjoying her creativity with lyrics, and explaining that the Home Express checkout line does not need to hear the vagina song again. Encouraging her independence and getting her to just put on the damned underpants and deal with the scratchy cotton crotch so that we can leave this house today. He's doing the best he can with his layman's understanding, and I respect his comfort level and efforts. But God help us all when she hits puberty.
Really isn't about vaginas. Maybe. I'm kidding, it is. Next up we have Andrea, and I'm going like she's Prince or Cher, like with one word. Yeah. Andrea.
No, last name is worth like 100 points in Scrabble.
I'm just gonna let you say it, and I don't want to, mangle it because it's beautiful, but Andrea. Andrea is, she's the writer behind the Underachiever's Guide to Being a Domestic Goddess. Yes, I heard him. We can all relate to that one because she claims to be a 50 all the time, which really is baloney. This woman takes everything full on, but she ends up, stumbling towards the finish line, as we know that feeling as well. Let's see. Andrea loves her self-deprecating sense of humor, and this blog is the perfect release for that. And her potential aggressions. She swears she's not a horrible person, as her sarcasm and cursing might suggest on her blog. That she really, she's kind of rough and tumble on the outside, but she's actually really a charitable, caring member of society. Sometimes. So here is Andrea with the dress, the sprinkler, and the wardrobe of Wedding Town.
I am not Diana Ross. I know you thought I was. This community has not been kind to me, so this is not a floor show, and I'm not a dancer. I'm just a blogger. I'm just a mom. That's that. So here's my story, and I have to tell you, when Brenda told me that she landed this little gig, I was like, you got it, that's awesome, and then I was like, you got it? I love Portsmouth. I absolutely love Portsmouth. My favorite place to go is the Wentworth. Last time I went to the Wentworth, I was the Wentworth by the sea. We were having dinner, and I was walking back to my table, and two lovely little old ladies were dining, and one of them grabbed my arm, and I overheard her say to her friend, "Have the nice Mexican girl bring us a coffee." Mexican, I am Greek. Under the table, girl. But anyways, so speaking of Greek, I see the signs for the Greek Festival everywhere, and it is so special to me. My girlfriend Kelly is here tonight, and she and I decided we were going to go to the Greek Festival many, many moons ago, and I met my husband there. So it's very special to me. And now, we got married at the Greek Church in Portsmouth, and our reception was at the Sheraton Harborside. And I have a little story about that, and it's not folklore. I'm here to clear up the story. So, think back to the last time you stayed in a hotel. You know that sign on the wall that says, "Do not hang anything from the water sprinkler"? You can thank me for that. You see, on April 30th, 2004, something happened that made hotel managers come together to design that sign. Me. I woke up on that beautiful sunny day with a cheery disposition and a pocket full of dreams for the perfect wedding in my beloved Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Little did I know that the fairy tale that I had in mind had quite the adventure in store for me. The day before my wedding, my mom and I headed down to the Sheraton. On our way down, we stopped to pick up my dream dress. As the seamstress brought it out, she said the words that would forever resonate in my head. "This dress wrinkles very easily. Be careful when you hang it." My wedding jitters quickly disappeared and my wrinkle worries took over. We pulled into the turnaround and the hotel bellhop greeted us and began taking our luggage. He mindfully gave my dress its own luggage cart, "Thank you very much." And I just knew by his manner he'd been down this road before taking care of jittery rides. Our eyes met. We had an understanding. He had this totally under control. I was in good hands, and so was my dress. I headed to the check-in desk to get my key. The hotel was full, looked solid. There was my wedding and a convention of newspaper reporters as well. The desk clerk regretfully informed me that my room was not ready yet, but that she could put me in my future husband's room for now if I'd like to just store my stuff there. Perfect. I left my mom in the lobby visiting the family and friends who were arriving one by one from out of town, and told her I'd be back once I got my things settled in his room. So the bellhop and I went up to Mark's room. He wasn't in town yet, since he was still in Laconia tending to a fire from the previous night at his apartment building. But that's a story for another day. I'm a big Moonstruck fan, the movie Moonstruck, and Cosmo always says, "More bellhop." The bellhop asked me where I'd like my dress. I simply said, "I don't care as long as it's hung high to avoid wrinkling. It does not matter." Next thing I know, I turned around to find him hanging it from the hook on the highest point of the wall. The water sprinkler. I was just about to protest when I heard snap! on the ceiling. I swear there were a dozen.
My
I yelled in full speech as I am getting doused, no drenched, in the muddiest, dirtiest water you have ever seen. The water had been sitting in the pipes full of sediment for who knows how long. It was covered. I ran into the bathroom for some reason and grabbed a washcloth and put it over my head. I think I lost my mind. The horrified bellhop reached up to grab my dress, and with one swoop he threw it down the hallway away from the water. I'm pretty sure he had a nervous breakdown along with me at that point. I don't even know where he went. But at this point, I'm standing between the waterfall and my dress in the hallway. And I noticed a maid's cart. So I ran over and grabbed a pair of rubber gloves. Don't ask me why. I put the rubber gloves on thinking that this will somehow protect the dress from my filth. Keep in mind, I am so covered in mud. And I go to grab the dress when I see firemen running down the hall around me thinking there's a fire. They look at me, puzzled at the sight of me in my gloves as I'm kneeling down by the corpse I now call my gown, and the look of horror on my face, and they quickly ask if I know what room the fire's in. There, the room with the water flowing out of it? Wait, what fire? There's no fire, I yelled. And they run past me with a look of concentration, hoses in hand, ready for action. But now I'm even more confused, thinking there is a fire. Oh my God, I drop my dress in the corridor, run down 5 flights of stairs, since of course the elevators are disabled due to the fire. The hotel has now been evacuated and my entire family is staring at me through the windows in terror and confusion as I run down the stairs covered in dirt, soaking wet, wearing maid's gloves. Quickly, both of my sisters-in-law, one is a nurse practitioner and one is a doctor, both bridesmaids, run and go into emergency reaction mode. They run into the hotel and up the stairs they go to save the patient known as my dress. Next thing I know, they're carrying the dress like it's on a stretcher through the lobby to find me waiting outside. People, mostly reporters and my guests, are gathering outside of the hotel, turning around wondering what in the hell was going on, dodging the 3 large Portsmouth fire trucks in the parking lot. As the dress made its way outside, people stared in wonder as the muddy water continued to seep down the protective plastic cover of my dress. People were whispering and pointing at me. Apparently, I'm covered in mud, my face, my clothes, my shoes. I'm a hot mess of a bride-to-be. Total chaos and confusion filled the hotel sidewalks, and people tried desperately to understand how the fire started. Meanwhile, the water has now gone through 4 floors of rooms of the hotel, causing water damage and flooding to the rooms of the sold-out hotel. The hotel manager saw me and quickly ran over to me and apologized profusely. Please, he said as he looked at me, and my emergency entourage, who appeared to be frozen in time, holding my gown and waiting for some sort of direction. Just tell me, what can we do? First of all, I said, no, I begged. Please don't fire that bellhop. He was just trying to hang it somewhere high like I asked him to, and he just wasn't thinking. I even surprised myself. He looked at me, shocked, and did a double take, probably expecting I was going to be Bridezilla and wanted his head on a silver platter. Done, he said. Next he said, we're going to drive you to Madeline's daughter, and for those of you who don't know, it's a nice bridal boutique in Portsmouth, to clean your dress. And if they can't clean it, I promise you, you can have any dress you want in there on us. I was like, you're away? I said, sure. This isn't so bad, is it? So the manager drove me and my sister-in-law to the boutique. That had just been remodeled to a pearly white, posh, swanky Newbury Street type bridal salon. I don't know if you remember that porn shop there. They used to be like over there on the wall. They moved to this beautiful bridal salon, and of course I was one of their first customers. They took one look at me when I walked in, looked at me up and down in the most horrified manner, and asked if you could just wait outside, that'd be great. For fear of me dirtying their carpet with my muddy shoes. So the hotel manager, my friend, and I went next door to Margaritas and waited for the stained prognosis of my gown. About a half an hour later, they came over saying they could, in fact, get most of the stains out, and it would be ready to pick up tomorrow at 10 a.m. in time for my wedding day. Madeline's daughter saved the day. When I arrived back at the hotel, they immediately greeted me at the door by my first and last name, saying I had a room reserved for me temporarily and gave me the key. When I entered the room, I plucked down my purse that was still swimming in muddy water and took a look in the mirror. Oh my God. I am covered in splattered mud, my shirt, once white, was beige, and my arms have dry dirt all over them. My face is completely freckled in crusty mud. I didn't look like the glamorous, blushing bride-to-be that had her stuff together. I looked like a train wreck. I needed to pull it together. I needed a shower, and fast. Just as I was about to get in the shower, naked as the day is crazy, the phone rang, and I thought, who could be calling me at a time like this? Who even knows I'm up? It was the front desk telling me I was getting a new room, and the bellhop, a new one, since they sent the first poor guy home for the entire weekend, would be up any minute to get my things. I quickly got dressed, barely pulled up my pants, still dirty and muddy, and there was a quick knock at the door. The new bellhop took me and my soaking wet luggage up to the penthouse suite overlooking the water. 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, fireplaces, kitchen, veranda, and a view of Portsmouth. What more could I ask for? I'm exhausted and exhilarated at the same time as it gets my murky belongings inside. I said, wait, here's your tip. I pulled out a drenched $10 bill that I found swimming in the sludge in my purse and had to bring it out before I gave it to him. He looked at me kindly and said, no, I can't. But I insisted, please, take it. It'll dry soon enough. He was backing away. I begrudgingly took the sopping wet money with 2 delicate fingers. I stood back, exhausted, dizzy, and giddy at my new digs, and thought, it really does pay to be nice now, doesn't it? I indulged in the most glorious shower and took my time getting glammed up for the rehearsal dinner. The story was all the buzz throughout that evening as people were exchanging stories of where they were when it happened and how they evacuated the building, thinking there was a fire, and how some families were separated and panicking, trying to reach each other on their cell phones to find their loved ones due to chaos. It was crazy, and it was funny, and it was totally nuts. Everyone had a different story, and everyone had a different take on why I looked like I had a mud bath, and why I had gloves on, and did a last-minute hair color attempt go wrong and explode all over my face? Or was I applying a pre-wedding mud mask and something went terribly wrong? Forward through the next morning, my wedding day, I went across the street to get my nails done, and the sweet girl doing my nails started a conversation with me. Did you hear about the fire at the hotel that you did with some girl's wedding dress? I just looked at her and laughed. My how the story changed as it spread through town. I cleared the record and she was laughing at how the story got twisted. There was no fire. After my appointment, I picked up my dress and it was nearly perfect with a few minor stains there for sentimental reasons. The girls at Madeline's daughter were wonderful, and I don't think they were nearly as afraid of me this time as I was clean and presentable unlike before. They were happy to help and play a role in my unfairy tale. The hotel staff was amazing. They went above and beyond to make sure we had the most beautiful day ever, and we did. Between my poor husband trying to deal with a fire and me trying to deal with a non-fire, we had quite the day leading up to our big night. In the end, all of our friends and family were there. It was a gorgeous day without a cloud in the sky, and we tied the knot, albeit a dirty one. And even better, we have the best damn wedding story. The moral of the story, do not hang anything from the water sprinkler. It's a bad idea. And the second moral of the story, freaking out over stuff and missing the beauty of the story is just not worth it. I married the man of my dreams, and if I had to do it in a muddy dress, I would have done that too. It just doesn't pay to sweat the small stuff. Next up is Stephanie with her story called Sexy Time.
That's right.
She's recently, my husband, Cliff, who's actually right there, recently my husband, Cliff, and I have been consumed with our search for a new dishwasher. We have known this time would come. It came with the house, the dishwasher came with the house when we bought it 9 years ago. And even then, it kind of looked like it was on its last legs. One morning, I went to turn it on with a full, dirty load, and it was dead. No lights. It didn't even grind to like a dramatic halt. Our dishwasher just said, fuck it, I am done with it. Kaput. So, the dishwasher search began. There's no glamour or excitement in purchasing a major appliance. It is a very mundane and grown-up thing to do. The most exciting part of this whole search was when we were in Sears and the girls had their first lesson in never, ever step inside a refrigerator and close the door behind you. Oh my God. They aged like 5 years. We unsuccessfully tried to pull information out of the world's worst salesperson at Best Buy, this dumpy, overbleached twat of a woman. I asked her what I thought were these really important questions like, well, does this model have a food grinder? And she would like sneer, pointing to this sticker in German. Well, all the information you need is just right here. So then I would like try another question. Well, why would I need to take the racks out and readjust them? Bored and annoyed by my outrageous grilling, she blew out this stale smelling dragon breath at me. I can't answer that question for you. I don't know your dishwasher needs. So here we are on the edge for weeks being without a dishwasher. And we're like walking to the store waving money in our hands. We're ready to buy something. And this peach of a woman couldn't even wait to go on her cigarette break. And even if we found with her the dishwasher of our dreams, you know, like the one with the Jetsons, when the robot actually like takes the dishes out and puts them into the dishwasher, there is no way I was going to buy it from this woman and give her a penny of that commission. So, after endless comparisons and conversations about stainless steel versus plastic interiors, or do we want the controls on the top or on the front, and weeks spent, you know, comparing and researching models online, we finally found one in our price range, and where the store offered like this free delivery and pickup, and they'd sweep my floor and change my cat box for me, and we pulled the trigger and we got it. It's a really hard trigger to pull because it's super expensive buying one of these things, and there isn't a single review online about a dishwasher that doesn't scream, do not buy this dishwasher. It is the worst ever. It burned my house down, it ate my cat, and it still doesn't dry the dishes. So the day before our dishwasher is to be delivered, Cliff calls me at work in a panic. He says, I just came back from the Home Depot, and I looked at the one we bought, and I don't know, the racks are a little flimsy. And I'm looking at the other racks, and I don't know, our model seems kind of weak. We can't have flimsy racks. Just saying. Can you come on, babe, just meet me at lunch and we can go compare the racks. I'm like, yeah, sure, babe. Listen, I get it. It's a big purchase. I want us to feel good about it, and I giggle every time you say compare the racks. So I go there, and I spot Cliff in this like sea of dishwashers, and he's working up a sweat comparing the racks. And I walk over to him, and he's like, look, okay, look at this one. See, it like wiggles around, right? All right, now look at this one. Solid, right? See it, feel it, babe, look at this. We compare the racks. So when Cliff, my husband, gets really focused on something, his eyebrows are mesmerizing. They arch up, and they have like kind of like this sinister to them. And his eyebrows do this when he's like pissed off, or he's listening to some really heavy, loud music. I adore my man's eyebrows. I swear they're really one of my favorite parts of him. So I'm personally not feeling that much of a difference with the racks. And Cliff says, he's like, you think I'm nuts? He's like, all right, you think I'm nuts, but just let's go to one more store to compare, please. How about Lowe's? I mean, we actually haven't even been there yet. You know, I see, I'm like, great, babe, you're not nuts. No more nuts than I am. So let's go. So at Lowe's, the rack slideshow begins again, and we're taking out the racks, and we're doing our stuff, and then we're approached with the, opening line, can I help you? And it's by a salesman who kind of looks like this modern-day Grizzly Adams. And I'm, thinking that I'm saving time, I jump in and I say to him, I'm like, listen, quite honestly, we already bought a dishwasher at Home Depot, but we're having buyer's regret and rack rewards right now. So I go through the entire spiel, and this guy actually patiently listens to me. Oh my gosh, so it turns out that this guy, this Grizzly Adams dude, is like the guru of dishwashers. He explained to us why some racks feel loose. Removability. I didn't know that, and it's what you learn with these tasks. And how like Maytag and GE and Whirlpool are actually all one big company, all built here in the good old US of A. And Bosch is like this German anal retentive company that gives you a rack. Oh, it's so funny. It's called a rack map that you have to do, and if you don't precisely load in the rack map the exact way, your dishes will never become clean. So the Grizzly Guru continues to explain So he explains to us how we should get hung up on makes and models and go through the whole thing. And it turns out that he thinks that we really, Home Depot is not trying to unload this bum dishwasher on us. I think Cliff felt a little bit better, and his eyebrows came down, relaxed a little bit. And I thanked the Grizzly Guru for all of his help. And I felt he was like the best salesperson we've met. And I felt really bad that we weren't buying anything from him. And he said, that's okay. I was really glad to help. But here's my card, because you're going to need a new refrigerator real soon. About her a little bit. I'm going to boast a little. She runs this really successful blog. She writes this great successful blog called Suburban Snapshots. And I've been following Brenna's blog for a couple of years. Like really before I even met her. So I followed this blog, and I loved her blog because it's funny and it's well written. And she doesn't write about kids and marriage and life in this like gooey, like unattainable, oh my kids are just the most amazing blessing, I love, like she's real, like she's really real about life and the ups and downs. And she's a really great writer, and you don't get many of those out in the blog world. So flashback to 3 summers ago, our neighborhood's doing National Night Out. Has our neighborhood done National Night Out? You guys know the National, it's like, of course you do. It's like, it's a block party. It's like a big old block party. So Cliff, of the eyebrows, he says, babe, he's like, babe, I got someone coming by, she's gonna, we got a neighbor from the hood, she's gonna pick up some flyers to help promote the, promote the National Night Out. Can you be there to drop them off? Great. So the doorbell rings a little bit later, and I open the door for whoever is going to be picking up the flyers, and standing on my front door is Brenna. Now, I don't know her yet. I've just been reading her blog for a while now. And then on my front steps is like the woman of the blog that I really love, picking up the flyers. And I'm like, kind of starstruck for a moment. But I didn't want to be all creepy and be like, so I'm trying to play it cool, and I'm like thinking of things, saying like, would you like to come in and have some iced tea, or hummus and crackers, something? I'm like doing anything, like all my Italian heritage, I'm like trying to feed her anything. And Brenna comes in, and the rest is history. And now I've got a friend who's a great writer, and we're doing this. So, Brenna with, and this is why.
And this is why I don't care. I have to add to this. I hadn't met many friends in Portsmouth, and when I walked into her house to pick up the flyers, she had good music playing, and she was so nice in offering me everything in her house that I ran home and woke my husband up from a nap and was like, I just met a friend! So literally, he was like, where the fuck have you been? So I'm kind of intimidated to tell this story because my whole family is here, and it's like a family legend, and I don't know if I got everything right, don't correct me if I don't. I don't know if I've done it justice. It's a big one. So when my 2 sisters and I were young, my parents would take us camping each year to the Catskills. And I remember genuinely enjoying these long weekend trips. We'd spend 4 hours driving together each way in our family car of the moment. The 5 of us traveled in a series of vehicles, including a Volkswagen Beetle. Do people cool it? Start over. No, we're starting over. We traveled in a series of vehicles, car for the Whole Foods set. A hand-me-down Pontiac that was once rear-ended by an elderly gentleman who insisted when he surveyed the damage that we'd been parked on a blind corner with the trunk open. A small Mazda pickup truck with a cap over the bed that served as the back seat, and once my dad started doing well, a company Chevy. On this particular trip, we took the Mazda pickup, and don't envision the pickup trucks of today with their crew cabs and comfortable suspension. This was a 5-speed low-end model, roughly the size of a toaster oven, with an added metal bed cap and no pass-through window into the cab, just 2 thick pieces of tempered glass with 3 inches of space separating the cabin and the rear bed where we kids rode, bouncing around unbelted, arguing over who'd have to sit on the wheel well. My parents couldn't hear a damn thing that went on back there. It was brilliant, if not even a little bit safe. The memories of the actual campout are a hazy mix of campouts that came before this one. There would be the smell of coffee in the morning, a fire all day long, muddy dreadlocks and dirty faces, showers that cost a dime to operate, and toilets that drew more flies than Staten Island in a heat wave. There was a general store where we begged our mother to buy us quarter parachute men or candy, despite the 50 overflowing bags of groceries sitting back at our campsite. In the afternoon, we'd eat lunch, then snacks, then some snacks before dinner. We'd play perilously close to the rapids until they got too deep or too quick. We'd drench all the towels and drag dirt into our beds, and sometimes at night there'd be a social event at the pavilion, where I only remember the country music and a rusty swing set that likely ran the local ER clean out of tetanus shots. Looking back, I'm sure there had to be alcohol barely disguised in coffee. So for 3 or 4 days, we'd swim and run, we'd eat, argue, listen to the adults up talking late at night, and we'd wake them up well before the crack of dawn. We had all the kinds of fun that people claim to be nostalgic for today. The kind we modern parents are sure will lead to contusions or certain death, if not kidnapping or hantavirus. Thinking about it now, it is actually a miracle no one died. And while most of the content of those days have blended, and the trips to and from the Catskills are an uneventful blur of 2-lane roads and thick woods, one ride stands out. One ride has become a legend in our family. One ride home from the Catskills will never ever be forgotten. There were 2 adults sitting in the cab of the pickup, unless Shannon was up there. Spoiled. My mom and dad drove through upstate New York. Maybe they were listening to the Doobie Brothers. Maybe the truck was as loud up front as it was in the back. Or maybe my parents had perfected the kind of selective hearing that comes with having 3 children who never stop asking for things. In the bed of the truck, under its flimsy metal lid, we 6 cousins were jammed in like stowed immigrants, crossing the border from the wilderness back to the suburbs. And to ensure that not an inch of space was left unoccupied, Saint, our big, dumb Irish setter, was also with us. Saint had enjoyed as much of the barbecue and s'mores as we had, but liked the higher concentration of dirt, bugs, and bottle caps. So there we rode in the truck's bed, sliver windows that cranked open like gills, to let air into the tiny space where we all sat, circulating the smells of damp camping gear, muddy skin, stale pit smoke, and dirty, wet dog. I remember that I was wearing shorts, and knowing my awkward adolescent self, they were at least half a size too small. I recall little of the trip before this, but I distinctly remember the moment that I realized our dog was shitting in the back of the car. With the 6 of us packed in around him. I don't know who shouted first. But I distinctly remember my cousin Adam shoving me with his feet because Saint's second emission had hit my back and rolled from my waistband to the bottom of those 2 small shorts, leaving my backside generously smeared with dog crap. Saint's first pile was the one I saw when I landed hard on my hands and knees, my face so close I could feel the heat. The dog was suddenly everywhere, and we 6 had become borderline psychotic. None of us could get away from him and his clumsy, confused maneuvering, or his prolific hindquarters. I know. Already the biggest of the cousins, but not the oldest, I should add. I was now the biggest, smeared in dog shit, and being pinballed around the back of a poorly ventilated toaster oven. I don't know how my parents remained oblivious to 6 children shouting hysterically and jostling each other violently in that high-flex space. Mere inches from their cushioned, air-conditioned cabins. But neither our shrieks or movements get their attention. If we'd been on a sailboat instead of in a pickup, desperately, erratically throwing our weight around, we would have capsized and drowned, which looking back might have been a better thing. Instead, we drove on, the dog seeming to shit for hours, screamed and clawed our way away from it. My cousin Jason cranked open the tiny awning window and started flapping like a one-armed man paddling against a current, hoping to catch my parents' attention, but nothing was happening. The car was not slowing down. Either they really couldn't see him, or they figured we just needed to pee. Driving 4 hours home, exhausted from parenting, possibly hungover, with a carload of filthy kids, did not stop for a singular bodily urge. Not the humankind, anyway. In that tiny metal hell, the hysteria continued. My cousin yelled out the window, "Save poop! Save poop!" In the panicked falsetto of all the 17 years, then more urgently, "Sadie, shit!" The 6 of us bounced around our putrid aluminum box, trying to avoid the turns, my smeared shorts, and the confused, terrified dog. It was a perverse and desperate game of Twister. Finally, for the love of all that is decent and holy, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, if you get me out of this, I will never hit my sisters ever again. My parents pulled over. If my dad wasn't furious, he was at least annoyed, expecting to hear the word tampon or farted out of his mouth. But I think once he opened the glass hatch of the cab and then the tailgate, the full extent of the situation made itself stiflingly apparent. I must have stripped those shorts right in the middle of the mountain. Because none of us was about to climb back into that literal shithole. I'm sure my mom took care of all the soiled sleeping bags, pillows, and clothes, while Dad walked the dog empty so that we could continue the trip home without interruption. I still see most of my cousins regularly and somehow manage to evade any unflattering, fecally themed nicknames as a result of my unfortunate position in the truck that day. And I have not since, nor do I ever, plan to camp ever again.
I think we covered everything. I'm not sure what else we can really talk about tonight. That concludes, that's our show, our performance, our reading. Smile, girls. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the Book and Bar. And Angela will be signing and selling copies of I Just Want to Pee Alone.